What is going on, everybody? This is Jeff Lightsey Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am here with the one and only Miss Madam President, and we are here today to talk about Hollywood and some of the a new genre that Miss Madam President believes has been created and is kind of going on right now. Miss Madam President Shanelle, I'll let you kind of talk about. You put out a video that was very interesting to me, and in that video, you talked about how it started off about the Candyman, the new movie that came out that is produced by Jordan Peele, that was directed by, I think her name is Nia DaCosta, and is like the number one movie in the country right now. But in discussing that movie, in Jordan Peele style movies in general, you said that there looks like there is a new genre that has been created, and that is a genre of black horror or black trauma. Just talk to me about that in detail, kind of what you said in the video, and then I'll tell you kind of what I thought I heard.
Okay, absolutely. First, thank you so much, Jeff, for having me. I love your work. I love what you do. You're excellent at what you do. You know, just kudos to you and everything that you represent. Black, it's the new genre. It's called black horror films, right? So it's like these films that, I'm sorry, racial horror. That's the terminology. Racial horror is the new genre for I guess Hollywood. So I'm not sure if you saw something on Amazon Prime called Them, but I refuse to.
I did. Okay. I watched a few episodes. I couldn't finish it, but I did watch it.
I couldn't finish it either. Yeah. So when I saw Them months ago on Amazon Prime, and I kind of saw like this trending topic, and I thought to myself, okay, this is interesting. Now, when Jordan Peele gave us Get Out, it was kind of like, oh, okay, we like that. This is kind of like this white supremacist, black rebellion, revolt kind of thing going on. So it was a little bit like we were open to this and this plot twist. But then when Hollywood saw how well Jordan Peele did in this film and how Hollywood determines what is good, it's not the Oscars, baby, it's the money. Okay, Hollywood is not concerned with who gets an Oscar as much as they are concerned with box office, who gets people to purchase film and tickets. So when we had the opportunity to pretty much see that racial horror is on the rise, it started to concern me a little bit, and I was quiet about it. And then it just wouldn't sit well with me. And I am a person who enjoy movies, black movies. I enjoy art, black directors, black writers, black producers, black creative producers, black assistant directors, black lighting crew. I want it all, you know? So when we have this genre and they are basically monetizing black trauma, then it becomes a problem because black trauma in reality, we're not getting paid for being beat up by the police brutality. Sandra Bland didn't get a chance to watch no movie after she, was killed. Tamir Rice didn't get a chance to enjoy no film. So what I get a chance to see happening here is our community is basically the trauma of Black life is being monetized yet again. And for some reason, we are glorifying it. We're applauding it. We're just like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. And there's a thin line between, do we take ourselves serious or do we not take ourselves serious? Because I don't think the Jewish community will ever allow a genre to be created for like racial Holocaust horror. There is never a time where when something so traumatic has happened to this group of people, it's never a time where they decide that we're going to turn this into entertainment. And I want to make myself clear really quickly, and I'm going to give you the floor, but I'm not here to criticize or tear down the Black creatives. Like, I think Jordan Peele has a lot of ideas, but what I think Hollywood saw is people want to see more racial horror. People want to see you take more racial incidents and kind of make it gory and blood squish out, and people want to see it. So I don't think that he's somewhere looking at the next news story and thinking, oh, how can I turn this into my next box office hit? But I think what Hollywood does is it summons you. We'll give you a whole lot of money. This is your market right now. And I just don't, it doesn't sit well with me. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I get what you're saying completely. Once again, we're talking to Madam President, Ms. Shanelle Walker, about black trauma and what she's seeing in Hollywood. But Shanelle, just to give you, I'm going to give a little pushback. I agree with you, but some might say the black trauma that you speak of or the things that you're talking about, and a lot of times they are laced in reality, right? Like you could say, hey, I don't want to see a film, or I'm not comfortable with seeing a film with X, Y, and Z happen to black people. But for a lot of people, that is a reality. I mean, for our people, that is a reality. And some people are like, hey, I want to see something displayed on screen that shows the reality and it shows some sort of overcoming, right? So in for those who you haven't watched Get Out, I'm about to give you some spoilers. There was the overcoming at the end, how the black man was able to, like the movie says, get out and escape that. Now there were other casualties of this, right? The different black people whose bodies were taken by those white folks or whatever, but he was able to overcome. In the Candyman movie, which I actually seen, I guess he was kind of able to overcome, right? So for those of you saying like, hey, I like those moments where we get to see ourselves in a base of reality or a little bit of history on that, but you see the overcoming to that, you say what?
I want to say that why do you want to overcome in entertainment and not in reality? Why do you want to overcome in TV and film and not in real life? What is it about the movie overcoming is more important than the reality of overcoming? So it's like we cannot become so satisfied in entertainment that we are not putting the same kind of support behind the reality of overcoming. So I do know that there are some people who use these moments who say, I just feel like he's reaching more people. Well, what I noticed about, what happened during the pandemic is it was about reaching Congress and, and all these other law officers to get this stuff, to get bills passed very quickly, to get protection. When the Asian hate that conversation started to happen, I think it was the president of the United States began to stamp bills that say, there's going to be some hard penalty and consequences if you do something to somebody in the Asian community, which we still haven't been able to receive. So it's like, I'm not okay with the entertainment only. I'm not okay with Candyman coming to life at the end. I'm okay when we can go 6 years with no Sandra Bland stories, when we can go 10 years with no Tamir Rice stories. But we're constantly going through these different traumatic experiences on a consistent basis. I'm sorry, the box office just doesn't, it doesn't balance out to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to the Madam President. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Okay, Shanelle, I'm going to push back a little bit more on this one. Okay. So what about those who say, like, Shanelle, it's our reality anyway, right? Like, why not see it on screen and get some form of entertainment from it? What do you say? What is the downside? Okay, let's go that way. What is the downside of portraying and having these images on a mass film screen that is seen by millions and millions of people, not just here in America, but worldwide? What do you think is actually the bad end result coming from this being mass promoted and actually being shown?
So I'm going to do, it's a couple things, right? Because as a person who is a creative, as a person who understands TV and film, I understand that you gotta have an antagonist, a protagonist. You gotta have a beginning of a story and the end of a story, right? So I don't want people to think that I'm so out of touch with reality that I don't want to see Black people on screen and I don't want to see scary movies and us participate in them. I want us to participate in every form of art that is offered. Okay. We should be involved and we should be a part of it. Okay. However, I do not think that we basically we become the content becomes so high in demand that it's one of those things where people are banking on us to be in love with this particular subject matter. People are banking on us to show out in large numbers about us and this subject matter. And here's why I think it's even more dangerous. Toni Morrison, if I'm not mistaken, said when you don't, if somebody step on your toe and you don't scream, you know, they think you enjoyed the pain. I'm breaking that up some kind of way. I'm butchering it. But the context is when somebody is doing something to harm you, you should be saying something. And I personally think that people are under the impression that we are okay after we bury a George Floyd. They are under the impression that we are okay. So
what makes you say that? What makes you think that? What are
you know, when Jesse Williams did the speech, he said, just because we're magic doesn't mean that we're not real, right? We're going to deal with some key facts in this moment. Doctors prescribe white women pain medicine. Doctors prescribe Black women pain medicine at a lower dose than they do white women. Doctors, people who have the ability to do strong science and math, they literally, 80% of them thought that Black people could endure more pain than white people.
Wow.
This is what they thought, right? Now imagine me being a doctor, as intelligent and as smart as I am, I'm so ignorant to think that Black people can endure more pain to the point where it's been documented in surveys. You feel me? What do you do when you watching TV and you're seeing these Black people just being as magical as they want to be, overcoming being stabbed and killed and everything else? I don't think it's proper because it doesn't provide a proper balance for us creatively. There's always this thing where you find Black people on TV are commonly showcased as extremists, you know, extremely lazy or extremely intelligent. But white people are showcased on TV almost as anything and everything, from garbage men to doctors to from scientists. Big Bang Theory, which is a show of a bunch of geniuses, white and one Indian. I'm afraid that are those the only form of geniusness that they have ever seen? There were no Black, African, or any other descent of Black folk of color. So beyond the Indian guy. So what I'm saying is TV is a powerful phenomenon that's used to constantly introduce ideas. Jeff, the reason why TV is so powerful is because this is how the world introduces to us what is okay, what is next, etc. Back in the day, when you wanted to control the world a little bit more, you censored what was on television. That you censored it because we can't have kids, you know, whipping crack at home, you know, it's a problem. But now almost anything could be showcased on television. I personally think it does us a disservice. Now, I'm sorry. I know that a lot of times in our community, we get further with straddling the fence, right? We get further with not really deciding. Oh, you know, I'm cool on that. I don't really know. It ain't no big deal.
Or not being too Black, right? Or too pro-Black. You can't be too pro-Black. You can be. It's kind of cool to be Black right now. You know what I mean? Because like you said, unfortunately after the murder of George Floyd, you know, a lot of people try to make it a little more acceptable to be Black, but you can't be too Black. Right? Like you can't be too Black, but carry on.
You can't be too Black. Like what makes you get a little bit too Black when you start saying words like reparations. When you start using words like when you start using words like white supremacy, which I saw Candyman as well. And when the white man said white supremacy, I was actually happy that did not get written out.
Yeah.
Because those are the kind of things that need to be heard. You hear me? Not to mention that, Jeff, when I think about Candyman, I'm from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the inner city of Chicago. My
Mm-hmm.
mother had me at 15 years old. My father was 18 during the time. My father was killed when he was 28. I
Mm-hmm.
went to Chicago public schools. Chicago public schools. I talk and speak slang. I've always had to deal with the inferiority complexes that white supremacy and the infrastructure of it brings to all types of folks. So when you talk about Chicago, I am it. Okay, it ain't Jordan Peele. It Candyman, it's Madam President,
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
And a lot of my classmates and my peers. And so
Mm-hmm.
here's another thing about being from the inner city of Chicago. When you go and you create a movie that talks about Cabrini Green,
Mm-hmm.
that mentions it so heavily, you can't just make this kind of creativity and don't have anything for the people that made this creativity.
Mm.
That's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everybody in Hollywood is getting a pass. And my thing about being Black in this country is you are the culture. Black folks are not the stepchild, they're the golden child.
Absolutely.
So it's like, here we are, when a Black man walks into a neighborhood that nobody knows him, people like, yo, who you are, where you from,
Yeah, get pressed real quick.
Right. Oh, we don't know this dude. He getting beat up, he getting killed, all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soon as white supremacy want to come and snatch your whole culture, you ain't got nothing to say. You ain't even got no problem.
Well, you dress it up by saying, well, it's produced by Jordan Peele and it's directed by Nia DaCosta, right? Like that's how you know what I mean? That's how you get in the door, right? You get in the door.
How you do it. Now, this makes me so excited because I ain't had a chance to have this conversation with somebody real. We keep on accepting just one. Black people, you can't do nothing with Jordan Peele's millions. You got to get your head out your ass when it comes to that. Unfortunately, you got to say congratulations. They got, look, one over $1 million. We can't do that. And I feel like we are the people in the culture. We keep on saying yes to one, forget the other 8 billion, just forget all y'all other ones. Your grandmamas too. How you not gonna show up for your grandmama? How you not gonna be the person that says, nah, y'all did my grandmama wrong. I'm coming to get what you owe her. And they like, but we gonna give it to Jordan Peele. And you like, all right, grandmama, they gonna give you shit to Jordan Peele, That is not
okay. Not at all. It's like you smile to keep from laughing because it's like, nah, you taking food off my granny's plate, right? Like my granny, broke her back, did whatever, took those lashings, did all of this just so Jordan Peele could eat, and go rub shoulders and smile and laugh with white folks. And it's like, nah, man, that ain't it at all. But what I want to say, staying on the topic of horror films, right? So one thing that I've heard before is that Black films lack a certain kind of diversity, and what Jordan Peele is bringing to in his horror films or whatever is a new, like you called it a new genre. I call it a lot of what you said. But what I will say is, in horror films in general, people have to die, certain things take place, and when you look at like white horror films, I guess, there's no substance, right? Like if you take a Michael Myers, you just go around killing everybody. You take a Freddy or Jason, they just kind of kill people, right? But in a Candyman or in a Get Out setting or, some other Black horror films, they have like a historical context. It kind of touches you, and it probably does so well because a lot of people can relate. Like you said, unfortunately, we've had these tragedies in the history of our people, especially in this country. So to that, maybe that is, some sort of like bridging of the gap or making people feel good or whatever. I know you said you gotta, feel good in real life, but to people's like, hey man, I just want to support a movie that's not just a Love Jones, like a love story, or just a athlete movie, a sports movie. It's something different that I want to go out and support. And to that, he's still not a. He's still not. All right. To that, you say what?
So here's what I say to that. I want, again, I'm going to keep reiterating.
Absolutely.
I want black people on screen. When I saw the Sister Tiana Parrish on the screen for Candyman, number one, raw. You know, she a black woman. It's like, go ahead, girl.
Yeah.
I know in Hollywood from a fact that being the number one cast or the two cast or three cast on a call sheet is a very big deal. That means that you're like you one of the important characters of the movie, you know? So that's just number one. I think we have a place in every space in this country, right? So the other part of what you said was, I do think that I'm not opposed to black stories being told, right? It just becomes a little bit difficult when we still haven't fixed the problem that we're airing. You feel me? So it's like, here I am, I'm gonna make a movie about the projects, right? I'm gonna get all the awards about the projects. I'm gonna be the person who never even lived in the projects, get all the opportunity, because opportunity is usually given to people who have the access to those kind of environments.
Yes.
When you come from the projects, you don't have access to those environments, right? So here I am. I gotta be like woke enough to know that if I do this particular genre, if I do this particular content, I have to make sure that the reach for the people that I'm exploiting and talking about and discussing, you know, that the reach is there, that they too have a piece of that pie. How can I do that on a very small scale? I can request that 50 to 60% of the people on the crew is actually black. I can make that request because we see what we see when you see a movie is director, writer, producer, and all of that, right? But there's usually hundreds of people that help a movie go,
absolutely,
go round.
Yeah.
So we can say, hey, I'm going to have 50% of my crew black. I'm going to have 30% of my crew, actually from Chicago. So there are ways, but I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. That kind of intentionality is not easy. It is not cheap. You hear me?
Yeah.
It's not cheap. Like, I need black folk, 50% to be black. But I'm going to give you something. Ava DuVernay, okay? Ava DuVernay is one of Hollywood's hidden gems. A lot of people see Ava and they're like, oh, Ava, great this and that. But she is one of the few producers that go into meetings and say, why is everybody white? Why? Where is my black? Where's my black costume designer? Where's my black cameraman? Where's my black director of photography? Where's my black key grip? Where's my black? Like she's summoning these people.
Yes.
But black folks, my people, we are so just happy for everybody else. Our own here we are, our own house being completely just shattered, burning, and we just hoping that the next house get the water. What? That don't make sense. So it's like, I don't want to take anything away from us. If we want to be on screen and we feel like these stories matter, then we have to figure out how to make sure that we getting direct access to the benefit that those things get.
Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Madam President. We're talking about the movie industry and films and things like that, but we dive into a little bit of everything. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Now, Madam President, I want to ask you about this. When it comes to not just movies, but on screen, you talked about how impactful and how powerful that is for millions of people to see, a certain culture, a certain way. Is it that you believe that more independent films should be made about black folks? I know you also talked about having a lot of the crew from a certain area, a lot of the crew, look like us and reflect us, especially on films that are talking about us. But do you believe a rise of more independent filmmakers or independent media needs to take place? What is your stance on that?
I think absolutely we need more independent films, but most of all, films are nice to make. You need people to see them. You know, being a person who makes a film that nobody sees, I don't know how wonderful that is. You know, you have to get to a place where it's like
you won't be making too many more if you ain't get no eyeballs on your film.
right.
That's for sure.
It has to have some kind of economic, sense. And guess what? Films are expensive.
Absolutely.
I'm going to share from basic knowledge. Give me a TV show that you like.
I like Power was a really good show that I watched a lot.
Power. Okay, let's take Power. New York, very expensive place
Absolutely.
to live. You think it costs, a little bit of money to make a movie in New York? Okay, so they're doing episodic. So let's just say on a very low scale, this is low, okay? They probably film each episode in 2-week increments, if not 1 week, okay? Which means that they probably spend about, let's say, $6 to $9 million a week. In New York, it could be more. Let's just say,
wow.
Let's go all the way. Let's go ghost money. Go ahead and make it $20 million a week or 2 weeks. I'm being a little bit of extremist, but not much. When we finish, I'm going to Google and find out.
Okay.
But I guarantee you, Power probably spent millions of dollars a week. Now, mind you, that was for one episode. You all probably get 8 to 10 a season.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money being spent. But guess who it's being spent for? So men like Jeff Lacey Jr. could enjoy this, watch this, look forward to it, and keep making the world go round. This whole world, and this is why I'm kind of vocalizing things, because I realize that we are agreeing to a world that we won't even be able to live in. We are agreeing to our own demise. I see people now, some people, and the people with children, you all should just be a little bit more in tune into the world, because you're saying yes to things that your children will not benefit from in the future. Now,
in regards, what do you mean by that? So just for those of you, what do you mean by you won't be able to benefit from those things?
I mean, for example, we don't have any level of unity and cognizance when it comes to community development, educational development. When you see big time rappers, give me a rapper that is ignorant. Just give me one that for a fact cannot read on a 12th grade level.
A Future comes to mind. He's the first one that comes to mind when I think of that, because Future's got a lot of women, a lot of babies, a lot of
So say for instance, here you are in school, right? You in school, and you like sitting next to Future, and here he is, can't read, and here you are reading good. You hear me? You read good. Mama whooping your ass, making sure that you get your book report turned in. And
that happened plenty of times too, by the way.
And here you go. And Future got all the money. That's a problem. America is dooming the people. We have the Black community. We want we have the tendency to kind of turn down structure. Oh no! I gotta be free. No, you don't. Let me tell you something. Working sun up to sundown, not getting paid, crying for your benefits, crying for your days off. That ain't quite freedom.
Not at all.
So we have to structure this society. We have to be accountable and responsible. Let's go with change of sex. Children, being able to determine and decide what sex they're going to be. How can children determine what sex and what gender they're going to be when they can't determine what school they go to, when they can't determine how much money they make a year? You're going to try to make us believe that the children have the ability to make choices when they grown parents can't even make economical choices to advance their life. So if you keep on saying yes to everything America throws out, it becomes hard to survive her. Some people are barely surviving, right, in this country. So what we do very well is we mask it, right? We just all go on and get along. Everybody winning on Instagram.
Everybody.
Everybody's winning, you
Everybody.
know? So nobody talks about hardship. Nobody really talks about what's going on economically unless they're winning, okay?
Yeah.
And the idea of it is so crazy because what other people do is they think that they can win too when you literally live in an environment. You have no access to resources. You have no access um, to really better yourself beyond like having access to places like the Black Business School, things that give you a space to think independently. But before you get there, your whole surroundings and already bombarded you with a bunch of stuff you don't need, don't want, big debt. So I just personally believe that we have to be accountable in our community to advance it, to make it better.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. Once again, I'm talking to Madam President. We're talking to all things Black at this point. Madam President, you touched on some really, really critical things there, right? But to some people, on some of the things that you spoke on and that you talked about, they'll say, man, like, I can't speak out against that because they'll take my job away, or they'll cancel me, or they'll do this, or they'll do that. They'll mess with my money, and when you mess with my money, you mess with the way up my lifestyle, the way I eat, the way I do these things, the way I feed my children, and so that is the issue that you have. That is why a lot of people don't say no to some of those things that you say, right? If I speak out and say kids shouldn't be allowed to choose whether they're a boy or a girl, right? Like I don't care what you do after you 18, but between, ages, being born to 17, I don't think you should be able to choose that. Now you're labeled. You're giving these labels, right? You're a homophobe or a transphobe or whatever, bad parent, unsuit, whatever. And so I think is the scary thing that a lot of folks run into when they speak out against certain things that take place in our community and that take place in the world, essentially. And that they're scared to lose a paycheck, or they're scared of getting fired, or scared of being canceled. Into that, you say what?
The one thing I would say is that fear is like whatever you fear is near, is happening. So whenever your mindset gets to going to, oh, I can't say this or I can't do this, you already canceled. You're already done because you're operating in fear. When we are afraid, then we can't be authentically ourselves. And when we can't be authentically ourselves, there is no peace within us. And in order to have peace on externally, it need to be within. I ain't trying to be deep. I didn't think we was going to go there. I wasn't trying to be that person. But the fact of the matter is, when you think about people who were trying, like, first of all, when people make you, they break you. That's just number one. Even this community, the Black community, the woke community, they have things about them that they don't like. When Black folks, they can like a certain group. They are at odds, but there is no conscious bank. There's no conscious, acreage of lands and homes that all the conscious people.
Yeah, they get paid by somebody. They getting paid, but they gotta eat.
Right. So it's like, so we all are into this world. And I don't think that should just be the root. You have to speak freely. Now, here's what I do learn from. I like the way Denzel do a lot of interviews. He make a lot of people. He's kind of rooted in how he feel, and he's older. Let's keep that in mind. When you're young, sometimes you don't know how to pause, right? Because when people ask you things, and you don't have to always share all your thoughts. It's kind of like, that's not if that's not your world, then you don't have to live in it.
Absolutely.
But I also want to say it. Dr. King was for nonviolence. Malcolm said by any means necessary, and they both were killed by a bullet. So it don't matter what route you go. Whoever gonna find fault in you, they gonna find fault in you. So you got to do, like, it shouldn't be no internal conflict when it comes to being your authentic self, especially if your authentic self is empowering and needed in the Black community.
Absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Madam President. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. All right, Madam President, I'll get you out on this. And so moving forward, and like I said, we're not picking on Jordan Peele or any of these people. We're just focusing on the images that are presented to us. Moving forward, do you believe, because Candyman's the number one movie in the world, Jordan Peele's like the number one producer of movies, or one of, at least he's one of the top black ones, at least that I've seen. Do you believe this genre that you spoke about racial horror or whatever, will continue to expand? And if you do believe that it'll continue to expand, what honestly is going to be the outcome of that, if that continues to be something we see moving forward?
Well, two things. Thanks for asking me that too. Basically, I don't think it's going to stop, because although I'm talking about it with you and it feels good, it was the number one movie in the
It was.
I don't know if in the world, but in America for
Yeah, it
sure.
was for sure.
So
Yes.
it was the number one movie. So movies that are number one have no interest in slowing down. All right.
Absolutely.
So I think what should be happening at this point is, I'm going to say something about George Floyd if I can.
Go
I
ahead.
was really, George Floyd, when he was killed, he had three funerals. They buried him in a gold casket. And this man literally was questioned about $20. He was living a life that was different from the one that he was buried in. Okay.
Mm.
So it's the living George Floyd that we got to fight for. It's the living Trayvon Martin that we have to fight for. Oftentimes in our community, we hung up on the dead, and we have to start creating this world for the living.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even in this whole, the genre with this racial horror, you cannot be okay with exploiting racial horror, which we are living, mind you. We are living in racial horror. Like, that's the thing. We got to fix that part before it becomes entertainment. So I think that, the Black community should be summoning any producer, any creator that's constantly going very, very far in their career path, exploiting Blackness. Okay. If you're going to use Blackness and Black culture and all of that, and Jordan Peele, if I'm not mistaken, he's Black. So he got, it's like if I made a movie about Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. These are my authentic stories, right? But I got to be able to say, all right, okay, we're going to make sure that a percentage of these proceeds, go directly to, the School of Arts in the city of Chicago. We have to be intentional. Mm-hmm. There has to be some form of tangibles attached to our exploitation if we must be exploited.
Hey, there's no better way than to end it like that. Once again, this was Madam President. You can follow Madam President on all our social medias. One Madam Prez with a Z. One Madam President with a Z. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And we